design, but she has the undoubted skill set of just being an all-around cool lady that people like to be around. She closes deals, and Emily Funk and Brandon Harrop are on the show today. Brandon Harrop of BC Harrop Photography. Keith Smith, of course, is here, the distinguished gentleman. When the show starts, we encourage you, the viewer and listener, to participate in the discussion and ask questions. As you guys could possibly imagine, the last 2 weeks have been rather, how would I characterize this? How would you characterize it? Folks have a lot of questions.
I would imagine.
Yeah, they have a lot of questions.
There's been a lot of interest and a lot of need to share information, so that's what hopefully we can do.
Yeah, folks have had a lot of questions. There's a lot of uncertainty.
There you go. That's
A lot of uncertainty in the market there. All right, Joey, things are looking good, my friend. We are in your hands, sir. Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live on the I Love CVille network, where Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world enjoy some coffee and knowledge with us on this program. We're presented by Yes Realty Partners, a name you can count on in real estate in Central Virginia. Yes Realty Partners, find them online. And today's show, I think, is going to have a very unique perspective. We have a talented photographer and Brandon Harrop on the show. We have a designer and realtor of extraordinary proportions, and Emily Funk on the program as well. And of course, we have the star of our show, Keith Smith. Joey Rifkin has done just a bang-up job all week long as the director of this network. Quite impressed with JR. Joey, if we can go to the studio camera and then the four-shot, and we welcome our panel of experts. My friends, how are you? Good Friday morning to you all.
Good
Morning. Hey.
Brandon, why don't we start with you, my friend? First time on the I Love CVille network,
Sure
your first
is.
rodeo.
Yes, sir.
Introduce yourself to everybody watching the program.
My name is Brandon Harrop. Like Jerry said, I've been doing photography, started about 10 years ago, but it wasn't until about 4 years ago it really became a full-time gig for me. And actually, I made a note the first time I worked for Keith Smith here was June 18th, 2019.
That was Mrs. Smith you worked for.
Well, technically, yeah. And, you know, I do 95% real estate photography, keeps me very busy. Got a wife and 3 kids at home, and well, hopefully school right now, but yeah, it's kind of the gist of it.
Fantastic. How'd you meet the fabulous Better 7/8, Yona Smith?
I was introduced by, I believe it was Megan Perry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Megan Perry's
Yeah,
fantastic.
she
She's
hooked
come on the
us
show.
up. Yeah.
Another fantastic person is right next to me, Emily Funk. I believe it's her 6th rodeo on the I Love CVille network. And, yeah,
Been that many
and it
already?
has. And every time she comes on the program, we listen to learn and just are absolutely impressed. For the few that don't know you, if you could introduce yourself to the viewers and listeners.
Sure. My name is Emily Funk. I am a realtor with Yes Realty Partners. I have officially been a realtor for almost a year now. Before that, I had a staging business that segues very well into being a realtor, helping people prepare their homes for the market. And it's a passion. I've always loved design and helping people, because it's kind of overwhelming as you're getting ready to list a house and put it on the market. There are a lot of questions. I have 3 teenage boys at home who also better be in school.
Amen.
And a wonderful husband, and we are originally Midwesterners, but Charlottesville has been our home for almost 13 years now.
Fantastic. So she has seen both sides of the market,
Yes.
being in the business for a year. You saw the chaos that was positive chaos and the chaos that we're in now.
Yes.
So we'll get to that in a matter of moments. Keith Smith, my friend, good Friday morning.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. You know, part of what my theory or my thinking of today's show was much like Jerry just said. You know, a year ago, there was different chaos than there is today. And my thinking was, you know, right now, the importance of what you two folks bring to the table, particularly photography. I'm happy to report we put a listing on 7 days ago. We've received contracts on it, but it all started with the photography. And by the way, all the buyers from out of state, and they went and did that. So tell me, Brandon, from this time last year to now, how has your business changed and how has the world changed and how important it is for you to do your job for us to sell homes?
I think a lot of people have definitely realized it's more competitive now amongst the realtors, and where a year ago, you didn't have to. It seemed like things would just sell themselves. And I know just this last month was definitely my busiest September that I've ever had, and probably I think like 40% more than the last year prior. Usually in the spring and summer it's really busy, and it kind of starts to slow down a little bit this time of year. And with
So
the
you're
listings,
not seeing it slowing down?
Not personally, no.
So one of the reasons I really wanted to have you here is you're kind of a leading indicator of the market, right?
Right.
So, because if Emily's gonna put a house on the market, she's gonna reach out to you 1 or 2 weeks in advance, right, to start working on photography. So we start seeing the inventory. So am I hearing your request for photography is increasing?
Yeah, I think I've gotten more calls from people that I think before may have, a certain home and a price point where they would say, well, this home, might not need professional photography. Whereas now I think they, more people are using it for just about everything to try to be more competitive.
So that's not necessarily a leading indicator right there.
No.
What that's called is branding and having to differentiate yourself from competition.
Right.
That's what you're saying right there.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's definitely getting a little
Well,
more competitive.
Yeah.
Thank you for going there, because about a year ago, people would take pictures on their iPhone and then that was it, because that's
Yeah.
all they needed to do.
I think that's what I'm, noticing that I'm seeing less of.
Stephanie Rhodes is giving Emily Funk some props. Stephanie Rhodes loves
Hi,
you.
Stephanie.
Yeah, we love you too, Stephanie. Interstate Service Company, guys, and a home's best friend, ISC. She says, good morning, everyone, but
Good morning.
Oh,
highlighted you.
good morning, Stephanie.
Highlighted you.
Everybody
Faith
loves
Stewart is giving Brandon some props right now and saying,
Thank
hello,
you, Faith.
Brandon. You got a number of realtors watching here, so your time to shine over here to get some business right now. Emily, my friend, jump in here, the market. How do you characterize today's market?
So if we're thinking about it like a pendulum, the last couple of years, the pendulum has very heavily favored sellers. I think we're kind of in a neutral space right now. We're not totally in a buyer's market. We're definitely not in a seller's market anymore. And so it's time for sellers especially to start shifting the way they're thinking about preparing their home for the market. Things are sitting on the market longer than they were. And we're seeing price adjustments, which was unheard of during the height of the market. So getting your house ready, putting in a little extra effort is absolutely going to make a difference now.
Well said. Very well said.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit. I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot.
All right.
First-time home buyer, a little nervous. Should I be in the market? Should I not be in the market? Should I buy? Should I sell? Depending on where you're at. So how do you navigate that conversation with folks, Emily? I'm a first-time home buyer. I'm frightened. I'm scared. Should I buy? Should I not buy? Tell me what that conversation looks like to you.
Sure. I would say absolutely it's a good time.
I mean, you're
to
there
buy.
personally, right?
Well, in a couple of years we
Yeah.
will, but we've been down this path many times.
Got it.
So for a first-time home buyer, I would say yes, now is a good time to buy because there's no indication that it's going to get less expensive to purchase a home. And so getting in now, while interest rates might feel a little overwhelming, there's going to be an opportunity down the road, we hope, to refinance possibly for a lower rate. And so waiting is only going to cost more money. And I would say while it feels overwhelming now, there's no guarantee it won't feel more overwhelming in 6 months or another year.
So, Brandon, what do you think about that, right? You're in the industry. What do you think about where the market is right now?
It's hard to say. I bought a home in 2009, I believe. Well, no, that was the first one. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, we bought another house in Greene County, and it was hard to find anything. The price point we were looking for, we moved out of the county, Almar, where we were, and it was hard to find anything. And when we found it, the interest rate was perfect. And to me, the interest rates are scary, but it definitely makes sense, especially, hopefully everything improves and they go back down and refinancing. I wouldn't be afraid to buy again, even if I had to do it now, just because, everything you follow with the investments of buying a home, and absolutely, I would still do it even today.
So I'm about ready to list my house. Tell me a little bit about your services. Do we have drone work? Do you guys do walkthroughs, what I call walkthroughs? I think Matterports is the name. What list of services?
Yeah, so I do all the
provide?
standard photography, do the drone videography, Matterports, can do the more of a Hollywood-style video walkthrough where somebody just pushes play and watches it all the way through. And I've basically tried to come up with everything realtors could need to offer to get the home sold.
So Emily, when you walk through a seller's house, right? How does that go? How does that whole relationship go? Because, if you would walk through Keith and Yona's house right now because Mrs. Smith wants to move and Mr. Smith does not want to move, I want my stuff and I like to have my stuff around me. Tell me how that goes. Walk me through that.
It kind of depends. What I find is that a lot of home sellers there is a generational difference. And younger people who are more exposed to social media, who watch HGTV, they understand the importance of the visual representation. In fact, there was a study done by the National Association of Realtors. 74% of all buyers across all age demographics are looking at photos first on mobile devices. So the picture is so important because it's your first impression, and we all know you get one chance to make a first impression. So you need to present your house in the best possible light. It needs to show highest and best use, and so engaging a stager and then having a professional photographer come in to document that is critically important. And so I just try to help people understand that we're marketing a product and there's an emotional shift that has to happen from this is my home to this is my investment that I am trying to gain a profit on to move on.
Yeah, I call that a switch from a home to a house, right?
Yeah.
And Yona's switched to a house. I'm still at the home part. Maybe it has something to do with my toys that I don't want to get rid of. I think that's really what it might be about. Don't tell her I said that, okay, please. But, Jerry mentioned ISC, Interstate Service Companies. When you walk through a home and you take a look at my house and I need a little bit of help, right? Mm-hmm. How do you're going to make recommendations of folks to use, right? And it might be the answer, hey, time out, you want to repaint the house, redo the front door. So do you get pushback about that? How does that generally go for you? Yeah,
so people can be a little leery of spending money to get their house ready to sell, and I absolutely understand that. The thing is, though, that people are willing to pay for condition. If you think about how overwhelming it is as you're moving into a new house, you don't want to worry about painting the walls. You don't want to worry about the little minor repairs that need to get done. So having that done for a buyer ahead of time is going to pay dividends. A study was done by the Real Estate Staging Association that showed on average a 1.3% investment in staging and prepping your house on average returned 7.1% over list price. It matters.
It's impressive. That's absolutely impressive. Let's talk about the management of expectations in a market like this and how you go about doing that, Emily. It's going to certainly come down to the condition of the home. This seller, I think, is more sophisticated than ever. I hope the sellers have realized that the market has shifted completely. How do you go about managing expectations?
That's tough. I saw a meme on social media the other day that said sellers are 12 months behind the market and buyers are 12 months ahead of the market. And we know
there's truth in that.
Yeah, memes have that little nugget of truth generally. So buyers are ready for the market to shift in their favor to be able to do things like negotiate terms, negotiate price. Sellers are still hoping for the market that we had a year ago, and the sad truth is it doesn't exist anymore. So helping people understand why that's the case is critically important, and letting sellers know that we may have a little bit of a wait once the house goes live, and they may not get the list price if they're pricing above the market.
We got Kerry Griggs watching
Hey.
the program. We love you, Kerry Griggs. He's giving you some props.
Thanks, Gary.
It's the hairdo, totally the hairdo. Thank you, Jerry. The reason I kind of wanted to have you guys here is I take a look at a 1 week over week analysis, in our car footprint, how many come on, how many go into pending. And this conversation globally has been talking about, well, inventory is increasing. It's not,
No.
folks. The last 7 days, 78 new homes came in our footprint on the market. 2 months ago, it was 105. Right? So this is why it's important from the seller's perspective to say, look, we're competing, and oh, by the way, 83 went into pending versus 105. So two months ago it was par, right? What came on went off. Right now, there's more pending and there's less coming on the market. So this is why I think it's so important from a seller's perspective to make sure you have good photography, make sure you have good staging, obviously hire trusted advisors. I think the numbers are starting going up, and this is to Jerry's point that he's been making for quite some time. As far as inventory comes on, we are in a bear market. We are upside down, right? We are upside down on the number of listings that are coming in. So to me, it's going in the wrong direction.
Do you think price point's going to start dropping, Emily? You think valuations will drop?
I don't think valuations will drop. I think people will become more conservative with their pricing. When we were at the height of the market, people could essentially list for whatever and still expect to receive over asking price.
No matter the condition.
Because there was that much demand. The demand has cooled quite a bit. And so one of the things we're seeing that we didn't see at the height of the market is price reductions.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the things that investing a little bit of money ahead of time can do is reduce the likelihood that you're going to need a price reduction. It doesn't eliminate it, but if you can present your house in the best possible light, good condition, wonderful photography, there's less chance that that's something you're going to have to do in order to get your house sold. And so, again, going back to the photography and the staging, 51% of purchasers bought a house that they saw online. So again, first impressions. 55% of all buyers over 2021, the house that they purchased is one that they went to look at because they saw it online and fell in love with it there first. So you can't overstate the importance of having good representation online.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Very well said. What do you think, Brandon?
I think I love it when people hire stagers too. That helps so much. It makes my life so much easier. Even if it's just a consultant that comes in there and helps people. You look at your own home every day. Sometimes it's really good to have someone else come in there and say, well, it's nice, but we should actually hide this away, or change this around. And especially on a vacant home where it's completely empty, sometimes those photos are sometimes some of the most challenging to make look good, because the completely empty rooms can really make making it look good challenging, or the lighting, if there's no furniture for the different lights to hit and things like that. I love it when they have someone, and virtual staging is an option, but even then, you can get people in there because of how good it looked online. It's still really nice to have actual furniture brought in there too. And
right, because you're setting expectations with the virtual staging, and then when someone walks into an empty house, there's a little bit of that disappointment factor, like, oh, this isn't what it looked like in the pictures.
Right.
So just something to consider.
Yeah.
To put it in perspective, back on the days and stuff, I just pulled up what this week was a year ago. Price changes were 55 today. This last week is actually the same number. Difference was they were going in two different directions, right? This is going down now, that's going up. So you talk to quite a few real estate agents on a daily basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me the vibe that you're getting from them. Tell me how they are. Are they scared? Are they nervous? What does that coffee conversation sound like to you?
I haven't heard anyone panicking or in a big worry about things. We do talk about how things take a little longer to sell now. Sometimes I like to, share photos from pictures that I took, and over the last year, the house would be sold before I get around to helping advertise it. They would move
that's
so
not the
quick.
case now.
Right now, it's I actually get some time to. There's still a couple, in very, there's some areas where it seems like things still sell really fast or almost instantly, but in general, everything seems to take a little longer now.
Yeah, so I've kind of called it a hyper-local market, right? So I actually pulled some numbers for the last 60 days at Fulvana County. I broke out Lake Monticello and I broke out regular Fulvana County on that end of it. And, it's interesting. I've been starting to watch list price versus sold price. And in the county, it actually went down. Right, they were actually selling less than listing, about $4,000. But in Lake Monticello, it's up by $10,000. So where really matters right now, and the market, in my opinion, always was location, price, features, condition. Right, you help with the features, you help with the condition on the end of it, timing. And I've added a sixth, which is getting me into a little bit of hot water. But it matters who's on the other side, very much so. Right now, do you have a pro on the other side?
What do you think is going to help the agents win in this volatile market? What are the agents, the agents that, we're in bear market territory from a volume standpoint, depending on who you talk to. I'm of the mindset that we'll see price point decrease. I think I'm on Frontier perspective when it comes to that. I was Frontier perspective with the bear market volume, and I proved to be right there. I think when you got a home that sold during the peak of the pandemic for X amount of dollars, close of business 2021, early 2022, and the homes now are having price reductions. The home right next door that sold during the peak of the pandemic is in a vulnerable spot, and that's just common sense. So I'm curious of what you guys think is going to help, and I have an answer to this, but I'd love to hear your answer. What the agents are going to do to win. What strategies will be put into play to gain market share and win and come out of this on the right side, and what strategies, if ignored, could hurt agents?
Marketing absolutely matters. It's your calling card. And so the way you market properties in order to show upcoming clients and potential clients what you can offer them as they're trying to sell their biggest asset, it matters. Also, checking out the data, knowing your stats, knowing the market. It's going to be hard to kind of fly by the seat of our pants. A lot of people were doing that from necessity during the height of the market because things were just bananas. But now it's going to take a little more thought and care.
It's when the pros show up, right, on that end of it. How would you answer that question?
Yeah, I tell people, I'm not just here to help you sell this house. I'm here to help you
build a brand,
market yourself and brand. And we can even do headshots like while we're at the house, and whatever people need, because it definitely helps market themselves in the future, the work they put on the current listing. And I think, that makes all the difference.
I 1,000% agree. I think the agents that are going to gain market share and the ones that are going to come out of this with potentially incrementally more business, or let's cut to the chase, maybe flat business, and flat business in a recession is a success story, are the ones that understand the concept of brand building. And I think Keith Smith is in a driver's seat with Real Talk here as the only agent in the area that has a talk show that's all over social media. And I think we're going to start seeing the agents in this area really go balls to the wall with brand building. Websites, mobile, desktop and mobile are going to be paramount. If you don't have one, you're going to lose. And if you're not building a brand in a recessionary time, you will not win.
No truer words have ever been spoken, and that was kind of what I was trying to help a little bit today, is to help with some brand building on that and help our clients. But again, the level of professionalism is just going to have to up a notch, right? And we're human. We all get used to things, right? Things become easy, or you whatever it is on that end of it. But now you got to brush things out. I just mentioned Yon and I did a deal at over the last night, and it was multiple offers, multiple cash offers, all out of state. And when you start drilling down into the details of it, you know, you've got to be able to advise your client with some confidence that, look, this is a better than this is a better than this is a better, and why there are the differences on the end of it. And these were all cash deals, but some of them had some very minute differences that would have impacted our seller tremendously, that we kind of was able to take off the table. So that's when, you know, the right agent matters on that stuff, and the right product and listing and pictures.
Kevin Yancey for the panel, Emily specifically. The O shift has put agents in a delicate position on explaining why the house $15,000 to $25,000 less list price than the one next door or down the street. How do you manage that conversation with clients? It's a great question.
Ooh, that is a good question.
Yeah, because that's a conversation that's very relevant, right?
It happens at kitchen
is.
tables every day
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Navigating that can be tough depending on the client and kind of their overall mindset. But the thing is, you want to price competitively so that you're not lingering on the market, because the longer you linger, the more likely you're going to have to drop the price even more in order to continue to generate interest. And nobody wants to be in that position. So pricing according to the condition of the house and market indicators right out of the gate is always going to be the best option, even if it's not the same thing as the guy down the street.
So this particular house.
You want to touch anything on that?
No, you're getting a little above mine.
Okay, totally get it. Totally get it. Totally get it.
I'll take pictures for you.
Yeah, totally get it.
Take
Totally
pictures
get
for
it. Great answer from Emily. So you're honest.
Yeah.
You're straightforward.
Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And otherwise, it'll come back to you, right?
Yeah.
Right? So why is the house sitting? So this home we just sold, we had that conversation around the kitchen table. It was uncomfortable conversation. They had, the seller had a different number in their head based on conversations with other folks. And we said, no, this is where the market is today. We hit the number right. We actually sold it above it on it. I can't give details, obviously, because we're not closed yet, but we sold it above it, and we got it done, and we put it under contract in 10 days. We started negotiating seven days ago. So price matters. It always matters. And to Jerry's point, to be honest and open and transparent, you know, never tell a client what they want to hear. Tell them the truth.
Because the market doesn't lie. The market doesn't lie. The market is as brutal of an entity that the world has. I mean, the market is Darwinistic. And if someone comes in and blows smoke up somebody's tail, this Darwinistic market is going to see through that BS. And then next thing you know, you're going to start getting, like, I'm bombarded. But I get all the emails from the realtors. I'm bombarded by, they call them price adjustments, price modifications, price reductions, price improvements. I'm bombarded by these emails.
Come up with some du jour word.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
What's a price improvement? You're cutting the price because you came out of the gate wrong. That's what it is.
That's it. So the real conversation is how do you convince Jerry Miller or Keith Smith that that is not the right price? And then the decision between the pros.
I think you have to, I mean, maybe you walk.
Well, that's where our chemistry is working. We'll walk away from you. I have to say, because as an agent, it's going to stick on you.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to stick on the seller, right? It's going to stick on that. And if you go ahead and give your number, I'm Keller Williams National Land Ambassador, so I'm the contact person for land for the whole country. And I was on the phone with a couple of agents yesterday trying to, we don't know what to do with pricing on certain lots and lands and stuff like that. And I said, so what is the numbers telling you? They're not going to lie. Well, but my client's not going to like that. Well, then, you know, you can go with that number and it's going to sit on the market forever and they're going to blame you for it. So tell them the right number and you might have to walk and let somebody else do it. And that's a hard thing to do because we're all kind of competitive people, right? Yeah. We all want to, at least I am anyway, right? Always kind of make things work. But, you know, being honest and transparent, that's how you recover from losing $17 million and doing very well. You have to be honest about it and transparent.
What do you think, Brandon?
Well, while you were saying that, it made me think about honest and transparent. I've seen some photography that's not so honest and transparent.
So let's talk about that, because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Right? That's a real thing.
You're talking about putting lipstick on a pig, and then when people get to see the pig, they're like, I see warts and not the lipstick.
I experienced that firsthand, and I remember going and looking at a house after looking at it online, and online I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is our dream home. Let's go get it. And we drove over there and barely even opened the front door, and it was like, what? This is not the same house. So I think that's a really bad look.
I will tell you, I can't count it because I haven't done it, but a large percentage of the times you would walk in the house and go, hold it, I want to make sure I'm in the right house.
Yeah.
And, so why is that? Why does that happen? Or how does that happen?
I think there's a lot of people, the mindset where they just
want to get people in the house.
In the door, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, even if whatever happens after that, they did their job. They got people in the home. They can give that feedback.
Yeah, but our job is much more than that.
Yeah.
And we're in the education business. We're not in the sales business.
Right.
On that end of it, and we're helping people make their largest purchase that they'll ever make in their lives, and one needs to be honest, transparent.
Absolutely.
It is super frustrating. Talk about, Jerry, questions asked about the number. The number one question I guess is, why do they do this? Right? Hold it. You just wasted my time.
Yeah.
On that end of it, because photography is so important, they're setting their priorities based on photography, and then we go look at it and go, oops.
Yeah.
It's like the dating apps. Someone puts a headshot on the dating app, like on Tinder or Bumble, and it's your pic from 10 years ago. And then you get to the first time, and then you get to cocktail hour or happy hour where you're meeting the folks from the dating website, and you're like, what? What's going on here? This ain't right.
It's
it's disingenuous.
Go to a bar and meet somebody.
It's disingenuous. And I don't know. I don't think that's a strategy of victory. I think a strategy of victory is putting in the copy of the listing, hey, this house has this issues, but we've priced it accordingly to match the fact that it's not in the best condition.
Because it's going to happen anyway, right? And so this, go back to the professionalism point of it now. Last year, look, let's face it, I used to say, and again, I might get myself into trouble. Back in the time of great unpleasantness, this cup of coffee I hold in my hand could borrow $500,000. A year ago, this cup of coffee could have sold a house, right? But now you really need to bring your A game and bring your transparency and your trusted professional to it. I've got it, and this is a shout out to Michael Guthrie. I have, and he shared this with me many years ago. There's 3 things that show up on my phone every morning at 5:30. Call Jerry Millicle. No. Is be professional, be caring, and be trustworthy. And that, and if you hit those 3 things, you will always do well. The market will adjust it and go so forth and so on. But if you hit those 3 things all the time, and God knows I need to work on them every day. But if you keep on doing it, the market will do well.
Brittany Gray watching the program.
Hey, Brittany.
Giving Brandon some props over here. Brittany says, hey, Brandon, folks, he is the best photographer in town and extremely diverse in his portfolio. Props.
Try to be. Thank you,
props
Brittany.
to Brandon from Brittany. What does diverse in his portfolio mean?
Well, I think just last week I worked with her on a videography project.
Stanley Martin?
Yeah, promote some Stanley Martin stuff. And
Glenmore?
yeah, I think she's got four units left to sell, and I'd help her put together a video to
Those are gorgeous.
advertise those. Yeah.
Don't you think the houses are gorgeous?
Yeah. I
Well,
did.
Brittany's a rock star in the industry, in the new construction sales industry, and it's always great to work on the opposite side. Back to this 6th thing, who's on the other side matters right now.
So how do you go about a photography and videography, say that's luxury right there, luxury market. You would say, well, although you were the one who turned me on that maybe $1 million is not the luxury market anymore.
Right.
And that really resonated with me. I would think in Brittany, you can jump in with some perspective here. The houses that we're referring to in Glenmore, I think are probably in the upper 8s and 9s.
Brittany would have to tell you that
I
one.
believe that's what the price range is. How do you go about your business or the strategy of branding a house with a home that's, say, like luxury market and above versus a home that's like maybe first-time home buyer?
Right. Well, I try to put the same amount of work into any of the homes, regardless of what they're worth, because I mean, I just feel like the seller and the agent deserve that same amount of effort. But when it comes to the much higher end homes, there'll be a little something extra. If there's, if the home sits on 2 acres, there'll be some drone shots, some property lines. But if the home sits on 50 acres, then we might add a second video where it's literally just the drone flying around the property, highlighting all those different things. Or certain homes, it's easy to just do a walkthrough video, and some the Matterport really matters. Some people really want to check out all the different angles of that like $1 million kitchen, where they can just sit there and stare at a certain area. Sometimes it takes a minute to soak it all in with the really high-end homes. Yeah.
Brittany says starting at 800K and going up. So we were on point there, and she's blushing from the commentary and positive praise here from the talk show. Brittany, we love when you watch the show.
So just sitting here, two more homes just came on the market. We just went from 78 to 80. Just thought I'd share that as that popped onto my Paragon screen.
The houses and that level, let's call it 7 and up, what's the photography that's moving those units?
Oh, what do you mean?
I would think it would be what? Kitchens, master bedroom, and master bath?
Yeah.
What features
I feel
are we-
like I
what
definitely
features are-
take the most pictures of kitchens, especially in the nicer homes. And, they're usually staged really well, which makes a huge difference. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's like a package, I think, right? So if it's a certain price point home, we do certain things. But as Jerry is speaking, the upper end homes or the luxury homes, it'd be more of the Matterport, right? What is the break even point to spend those kind of dollars? Because not to get into specific cost of it, but obviously that's more expensive than that. Where's that break even price point in your opinion?
Oh, boy, really, I feel like that's a personal decision for the agents. And I know there's some, like when I first started this and I was trying to figure out what to charge, I found a lot of photographers that they would ask what the home's going to sell for before they would give a price. And then they'd set the price based off a percentage of what that final sale was going to be. So I didn't think that, I just preferred for me, it's going to be the same amount of work, no matter what. So instead of setting my prices based off the final sale value, it's all out on my website. It's just.
Is it like size? Right. I was
Yeah,
almost was going to say
yeah,
does
there's
size
different
matter,
tiers,
but I
yeah.
won't say that. I won't say that.
Yeah, there's different tiers, because obviously it takes a lot more time to get everything for a $7,000
Well, for a
square foot home.
$200,000 house, am I doing a Matterport or am I not?
I would say no.
Yeah, that's
It's
the question
rare,
I'm trying to get
that
to.
anybody would do a
So it's
Matterport
like
for that.
400, 500, that kind of thing?
think
Well,
so.
I mean,
That
it
sounds
depends
about
on
right.
it depends on profit margin. I mean, someone's not going to go super heavy on marketing collateral when margin on a $300,000 home is going to yield after you pay the broker what 0.018 on 300,000 is
Yeah, sometimes
5,400.
sometimes the conversation is, does the client want to split the cost, right? That happens sometimes, particularly at that particular price point. But talking about numbers, and this is just stunning to me. I'm looking at Lake Monticello Active because I use this all the time for that. There's literally only 2 homes under $300,000 available. Interesting, one's been on the market for 32 days.
How's your oldest son, Emily?
He's 18.
What do you say to the first-time home buyers?
Hang in there. It's a challenge right now. It just is. But at some point, getting into the market is more important than finding your forever home. You've got to get a foot in the door, and that might sound scary, but just be patient. It is, as the mother of 3 teenage boys, it's a little concerning.
Right.
But my advice to them would be get started. Even if it's not exactly what you want, get started and work toward what you want.
So Kevin Yancey is bringing that point up. He basically said even in the Augusta, Waynesboro area, new construction is starting with a 3 in front of it. So he's like empathetic he's offering empathy and sympathy to the first-time homebuyer, he also put on the feed, and Kevin, we're going to do a similar approach here with his daughter. She's had a credit card since she was 11, and it sounds crazy, but it's to build credit. So like she's had like positive credit history being built since she was at a young age. We're going to do the same thing with our sons, where it's like, now the credit card's going to stay in our possession, obviously. It's not going to over there, but they're going to be buying stuff, like putting on credit, pay it off, and then credit builds in their name. So when they come out of the gates ready to rock and roll, they got a score that's awesome.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way because I just paid cash for everything for so long, even through college, even after college. And then I went to go to try to buy a spot. It wasn't bad credit, it was no credit. They're like, dude, you have no credit score here. Go get a few lines of credit, rack up some debt. Literally said that. They even said float the debt where you're not paying it off, because you get a higher credit score when you're carrying some debt month to month, so the credit card companies can make some money off you and then pay it off. And it worked. It happened quickly, but still. So that could be a little life hack for the viewers and listeners out there. What's your take here? Just as not a photographer, but just as like a human being in the area. First-time homebuyer plight. Put that in perspective.
Yeah, well, it's funny. You were talking about building credit earlier. It made me think of when I was maybe 13, 14, going into Circuit City and finding a TV I wanted and getting my mom to co-sign on like a line of credit to get it. And it's funny because that really helped a lot. Like, it was weird. It started building credit even then, and small car. I mean, I don't know. I think my first car was like $500, but
it follows you.
It really does. And then just never miss those payments. It doesn't matter what it is.
So for Kevin, while you were speaking, I just pulled new construction in Augusta County, active, what's available. It's a scary number, 404. 404 is the median for detached. Would you believe 405 for attached? But they're attached in Augusta County are really duplexes. They're not townhomes on that end of it. But new construction in Augusta County is north of $400,000. That's insane.
Well, the builders can't build in Charlottesville and Albemarle because the dirt's so expensive.
That's where they're going.
So they're sprinting to Augusta and Waynesboro, and as they sprint to Augusta and Waynesboro, the buyers are following, and it's driving up price point. I think Augusta and Waynesboro is going to be the next region or area that's going to see the type of wealth gentrification we've seen in Charlottesville and Albemarle for 20-some years. And it's crazy to say that because when I first came to Charlottesville, it was the first year at UVA in 2000, it was unheard of, to live on the other side of the mountain and work in Charlottesville. No, I'm not going across the mountain to drive. That's dangerous. Yeah. Now it's the norm.
Yeah.
There are hundreds and hundreds of lots running through the system in Augusta County right now. It will be green. It will be the other big. I think
there's so much potential there.
Well, they got I think it was Neil. Didn't Neil say there was 2,000? Neil Williamson say there was 2,000 lots somewhere in the system. I haven't had a chance to double check that, but I'll take Sir Neil's word as he spoke it. I used to think Zion's Crossroads was the place, and I've been on the record saying it was, but I'm walking that one back big time because I don't see water being there, substantial water being there for another 2 years, maybe a year and a half, but closer to 2 years on that end of it. So
Neil's watching the program. Neil Williamson, president of the Free Enterprise Forum, as we speak. He's watching.
Double check my numbers, please, Neil, as usual.
And Kevin confirms Kevin Yancey's as connected in Augusta and Waynesboro as any of the viewers and listeners. He goes, it's the Albemarle builders that are building over here.
Yeah, they are. You've got quite a few folks over. You got Northern Virginia folks coming down there, by the way, on that end of it. Excuse me.
Very interesting phenomenon. So where do you think Brittany Gray's giving you some props, Emily Funk? Katie Pearl says she loves Greene County, is very bullish on Greene County. What's up, KP? I hope you enjoyed the interview from yesterday. I think you did. You're a straightforward person. That's what I really like about you here.
Thank you.
What do you think 2023 is going to play out like? Because the chatter is flirting with 8% rates here in 2023. What do you think that's going to look like?
I think there's still a lot of uncertainty in the market for 2023. I think I think it's going to continue to shift. And I think, I don't know, I think we might start to see a little bit of the opposite of what we saw during the pandemic. I hope that's not true, but there's still so much up in the air.
What do you mean the opposite?
Instead of the buying frenzy, we're going to see people pumping the brakes more than they are now, I think.
I see it.
I see it 100% that way.
I see it 100% that, but I also see a second side of that. I think because my recent experience with a sale that we did, wrapped up last night, every one of the buyers that bought this were empty nesters. They've already sold their property. They cashed out. They're renting, and they were waiting for the right property to come along. And I think there's going to be, and I may be wrong.
But those were cash buyers.
That's exactly right. So
that's an anomaly.
The last 3 deals we did was cash.
And the reason I bring that up is because if you have an interest rate of 4.5% or below, and you have a house, like, why are you going to sell your house now?
I was just
The
going to
only
ask
reason
Brandon
would
that
be-
very question, right? Because you bought at 2% in Greene County.
Your interest rate is what?
2.5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, are you jumping for joy?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, don't you feel fortunate?
What's that?
Don't you feel fortunate?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like a luck crapshoot, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it wasn't skill. I mean, maybe it was some timing that you knew that these rates were low, but like, mine's 4. And it's like, it's like, I feel fortunate.
Yeah.
It's not like we had like a crystal ball or anything. That's just what it was.
It's like you said. I think me and my wife were talking. Every once in a while I go into some of these homes and I'm like, I think we should move into that one. but
That's the problem of being a photographer.
And then you figure out what the interest rate is and the monthly payment.
Yeah, and then you sit back and I'm like, never mind.
So to go back to the point I was trying to make is I think you're going to start seeing generational differences, right,
Yeah.
on that end of it, and it's one of the reasons I put so much time and energy in the land trust that I do is to try to help that buyer, and we have 3 more units left, and after that we've sold 23 this year. We'll close on 23 this year. We only have 3 more left at the 225 mark, and I'm desperate to figure out where else we can go, so we can at least try to help that buyer. And each one of our buyers are teachers, firemen, to me the salt of the earth that are helping us through it. But that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see a bigger divide between the one buyer and the other. That's the reason why, and I looked at the houses at Lake Monticello, the reason why the ones below $300,000 haven't sold in the last 30 days, the 2 that are available, I just looked at them. They're in great, assuming the photography is right, right? Pictures look good and all that stuff. The problem is the buyer can't afford it. That's 7 or 8%. They can't afford it.
What's the meme that's going around? It's like the shot of the front of the house side by side, and like the house in like 2020, and then the house now, and it's like this house in 2020, the mortgage payment was like, say, $1,500 a month, and then this house in 2022, the mortgage payment is like $3,100 a month, and then this house in 2020, the purchase price was like $300K, and this house in 2022, the purchase price was $295K. Like, have you seen that meme floating around?
I haven't seen that
The
one.
the interwebs. What's your take on the comments coming in on foreclosures, Emily?
Oh.
There are a lot of people in the real estate world who don't feel like we're going to have a huge number of those because there was a lot of cash in the system as people were purchasing these homes, even if it was over asking price and the price was high. There was a lot of cash in the system, the interest rates are low, and so payments are not out of control. So a lot of folks who have been in this industry for a long time are not really anticipating that that's going to become a thing.
Yeah, it's good. It has gone up and it will go up, but you have to put it into perspective, right? 10 years ago it was 3 million. Now it's $500,000 or it's going to be 50,000 or something like that. That's in some sort of number. So the numbers are different, but the numbers are growing. Last year was like none. Now it's this. I think the difference is going to be is the lenders are going to say you need to sell your house, right? versus the last time there was no buyers. They sure as heck do not want their houses back. It's extremely expensive to go through a foreclosure process. And so what'll happen is they'll just get pushed on the market. Lake Monticello, last 60 days, the median sales price was $337,000. Just think about that. Lake Monticello, the median sales price was $337,000. I mean, that's not affordable. That, when you work the math, and Jerry's smarter than I am, when you work that math with the 3% down payment, that exceeds the monthly rent amount.
Plus your HOA dues.
Excuse me?
Plus your HOA
Plus your
dues.
HOD, plus your water and sewer, right? Plus your taxes, which will go up.
I mean, that's another thing that, another trend that I think we should be following. And I'm doing this now with 3 different communities that I'm a part of. HOAs are going to go up 10% year over year.
Yeah.
Your HOA dues are going to go up 10% because the labor side and the cost of goods side associated with managing your homeowners associations has gone up astronomically. Like, find somebody to work that's going to do stuff. Like, the landscaper's cut is raising rates. I mean, in this building here, we're raising them 10%.
So it's
10%.
So we started this the end of last year, the beginning of this year, what I thought was going to impact the real estate market the most, which is inflation. And to Jerry's point, inflation is impacting that. It's interesting, though. I can speak to Lake Monticello rather intimately. They can't raise dues without a vote, but they can do special assessments. So it's really important.
They can raise dues up to a certain threshold. We can raise dues in this building and the other communities I'm a part of up to 10% without owner vote. If we eclipse the 10% threshold, then we need owner vote.
You're fortunate, Lake Monticello, they can't raise them at all.
It's in your bylaws?
In the bylaws without a vote. So that's why they do special assessments, which they can do without a vote.
And those are more, that's a tougher pill to swallow.
It's a tougher pill to
Because you would rather an incremental monthly payment increase than a lump sum payment.
Yeah. That's a HOA show one day, because it's very important to understand the nuances between the different HOAs.
And that's why I'm trying to really hold like the jurisdictional elected officials accountable. Like Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville right now are talking about increasing the real estate tax rate. And I'm like, dudes, like, what are you doing? Like, how do you increase the real estate tax rate at the time that assessments are up, inflation is up, groceries are more expensive, credit card debt is out of control, and people are just trying to like pay their electric bill? And then you're like talking about increasing the real estate tax rate? I mean, it's like so out of touch. And it's like the definition of regressive tax tactics and gentrification that's going to impact like financial margin, people on the financial margin. I just don't understand it. And I will continue to mention it on shows like this as long as possible about that. Charlottesville's going to raise, folks listening to the program, if you live in the city of Charlottesville, your real estate tax rate is going to go up somewhere between 2 and 4 cents on $100 of owned real estate next year.
And your assessments, your appraised assessed value is going to go up, which makes that cash even worse.
It's a double hit.
I literally had this conversation on my mother's 80th birthday party this weekend about it. You know, they're fixed income, they're in their early 80s, mid 80s. On that end of it, and you know they are paying in Fluvanna County pretty much Albemarle County numbers, pretty darn close to it. So there's two sides to that equation, right? You can.
I mean, it's going to create more inventory potentially, but do we want to really create more inventory at the cost of elderly or financially margined people unable to stay in their home?
Yep, That's a whole can of worms there, and the answer is no, we don't. So to continue to have the conversation openly and publicly is important.
Neil puts in the feed inflation June 21 to June 2022, so year over year, June last year, June this year, 9.2% increase.
Yeah.
I mean, ay mi madre. That's crazy.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's like you have $100 now, $100 in June of last year, you have $91 now. I don't know. That's,
So not knowing this was going to come up, I actually printed out the U.S. inflation historical rate going back to 1955. The last time that it was, let me double check this real quick. Yep, the last time it was over 9% was 10.33% was in 1981. 1982 dropped down to 6.13%. And we've been running anywhere between 1 and 3%. 2008 was 3.8%, so let's call that 4%. So from 2009 to now, we've been running somewhere between 0.12% to 4%. But now that was 2021, 4.70%. So the last time we seen that was in 81. 1981. Anybody want to take a gander on what the mortgage rate was in 1981?
17%?
Damn, you're good.
Is that what it is?
16.63. That's close enough to 17 in my book.
Yeah.
The difference between 1981 and now is the homes are obscenely more expensive. And salaries, wages have not risen at the clip to match cost of living increases.
You want to know what the Fed rate was in 16?
What's that?
16.39%.
I mean, Brittany's offering some perspective here. She bought her first house in Lake Monticello. I'm going to see if I can find that comment. Brittany, we love when you watch the show. I sincerely mean that, Brittany Gray. She bought her first house at Lake Monticello. Man, where did that comment go? For $159,000. What year was that, Brittany? I would love to see that. $159,000. She bought her first house in Lake Monticello. And now the houses are what? Keith, what's the entry price point?
So the moment, please. Moment. Hold, please. Make sure I got the right thing. Lake Monticello only.
2015, $159,000.
Yeah. So now the median sales price is $337,250 to be exact. List price was $327,50. So they're selling $10K over list right now. 5 days on market, roughly 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. The minimum sales price in the last 60 days was 106. Average is 346, median is 337, high side is 705.
And to further humanize the plight of where some folks are at, I'll take it close to home here. Having the conversation with my parents, they're retired and living on fixed income. Was having the conversation with my mom, and she said it very straightforward, and it was not a woe is me. My mom is an immigrant from Cuba. It was just this is what some of the things we're doing to figure out fixed income and the fact that inflation's costing us more money. She's I'm not going to get my hair done anymore. She's I'm not going to do it. We're not going to color my hair. I'm going to skip the appointment to the salon. Is that to going to the salon? I'm just not going to get my hair done. And I'm hearing my mom saying this thing, and it's breaking my heart for her. And she wasn't doing that looking for sympathy. It was more this is
real.
one of the things that I'm doing, mom and dad are doing to get through this.
The average family is spending, and Emily, I'll ask this question of you, but the average family is spending well over $400 a month more on.
Oh.
Is that number this time last year? How much?
She's got 4 voracious appetites.
I only can imagine
Yeah.
how much more.
Oh, our grocery bills are out of control. And, you can shop for sales and all of this, but prices are up on everything. And so, feeding 3 teenage boys is no joke right now.
Ooh, that's almost as bad as trying to feed a Division I 50 sprint.
I think 3 teenage boys is going to be more difficult than feeding your youngest daughter.
Avon, it'll be a bit awfully close, but I'll tell you one thing: when she went to college, our food bill went shoot right down, which was
that $159,000 home Brittany purchased in 2015 was 2,400 square feet with a basement.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, to that point, from a positive standpoint, that is an example of why real estate purchase can create wealth. Because from 2015 to 2022, $159,000 home probably now in Lake Monticello is what, 459?
Yeah, I'd have to dig into it, but it does drop. I mean, it jumps awfully fast from 277 up to 325. So the median sales price right now in Lake Monticello, list price, excuse me, is 375. So, and that's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2,296 square feet. I'd have to look into it and find out if it has basement on it. I just ran some quick numbers on that end of it. But yeah, so it's interesting, Brittany. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Brittany and Stanley Martin Homes and their team over there, because without them, we would not be helping this affordable housing buyer. They're just huge partners in it, and they stepped up to the plate in a huge way and help us put, like I said, 23 home buyers into homes. We've got a couple more units left, and I'm begging for them, hey, let's do another project. Let's do another project, but together. But without them, we would not have made that magic happen.
Melissa Denham is watching the program, and she says UVA Health keeps saying they're paying employees market value. And then she makes the point, does that track when inflation is 9.2% year over year? I mean, that's a good comment.
I was part of a regional housing partnership meeting the other day. Neil was there, and there was a great a report that was given in about a rental, on the side of rental end of it. And in order to be successful to get a rental right now, you've got to be making $20 an hour or up, right? And they gave a presentation. When you start dropping below that, your chance of actually successfully getting a rental unit drops dramatically. I think it was a 10-to-1 ratio on that end of it. So we got two sides to this equation, right? We're talking about the for sale side, but now also there's the rental side. And a little bit something, again, to play off of Stanley Martin and some help. There is a project in Fluvanna County where they just actually getting ready to put foundations in the ground, where there's going to be 125 rental units, helping folks making 50 to 60% AMI, which is a huge thing. It won't be ready until next year, but there are some projects along the way that hopefully will help relieve that.
Kevin's first home was a 937 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath off Fontaine Avenue. He bought it in 1998 for $83,000, and it sold in 2016 for $250,000.
Good for you, brother.
$250,000. That's a hell of a return on investment. And I got to emphasize this, and I try to emphasize this as much as possible. Wait till you see the data science school in full force opening, because you're going to have a number of folks, a number of employers come into this area to cherry pick the talent coming from the data science school when it's full force open. Data science is not just the future, it's now, but it's definitely the future. And you're going to have an epicenter, a data science epicenter, like a global epicenter on Ivy Road in the next 18 months or so. And watch what happens with employers cherry picking the talent coming out of there.
Well, that goes back to the lack of inventory, right? And go back to this generational buyer, or back to this, have and have not. I don't know how right terminology to use on it. It's only going to get worse, which is going to put more pressure on inventory, much more pressure on everything going. And this is why you need trusted advisors, you need photography, you need staging, you need to go ahead and help our buyers and sellers navigate these interesting times.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have some time for some closing thoughts. Emily, how about some perspective for the viewers and listeners that are watching the show?
So, as a person that has background in staging, I would say the biggest advantage to hiring a stager, in addition to your realtor, is to have them explain why it matters. There are so many pieces of a real estate transaction that are psychological in nature, where you are working on engaging someone's emotions, because let's face it, a lot of purchases are first an emotional decision, and then people look for reasons to justify that decision. And so when you bring a stager in, they can help you understand that if you are one of the people that's in the majority of sellers who is in your home longer than 21 years, statistically, it's likely that the person who buys your house is going to be the same age that you were when you bought it. And if there haven't been any updates made, if things haven't changed in your home in those 21 years, you're going to need some help to market it in the best light possible. So even if your house isn't empty, hiring a stager to help you navigate the process of getting your house on the market can pay dividends. It is well worth it.
Well said. Very excellent close there from Emily Funk. Brandon, my friend, think you're going to pick up a lot of business from coming on the show.
I hope so, yeah.
And why should we use your services, sir?
Well, mine or any other services really just makes all the difference. And, you know, the online exposure of the home, everything I do or other real estate photographers, it's all visible online. Every piece of what we do, the drone, the video, you know, Matterports. I mean, I think I said earlier, you're not just selling that home, you're selling, you know, yourself as an agent, and you're using that to market yourself to all your future clients. And yeah, I'd love to get some more business and pick up some more clients. And, you know, I kind of have a dream. My oldest daughter's 13 now, and, you know, sometimes we joke around about it. We would love to just make it a family business. And my wife's like, "Oh, you get busy. I'll quit this job. The government sucks." You know, like the government.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I have a similar dream to that, like what we do in here. So BC Harrop Photography could easily be Harrop Photography.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be awesome. I hope that dream becomes a reality.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's,
Sincerely mean that.
It's interesting. Did I not tell you the hour was going to fly by fast, right? And
An hour?
it's been over an hour.
Hour and 7 minutes.
It's been over an hour. So, guys, thank you so much. Emily, I took some notes in your closing comments and realized I'm in my house over 21 years. Now I know why Mrs. Smith wants to move. Thanks. Appreciate that. Brandon, keep up the good work. Keep up the honest work, right? Going out there and helping folks. And it was funny you were talking about your daughter, right? That's 13. Our youngest daughter is moving back to Virginia with her husband, who's a teacher, unsolicited. She now wants to get a real estate license. So we've never solicited that. We've made it a point never to put on our children what they should do in their lives as long as they're passionate about it. We were supporting it. So that kind of hit us a little bit on the sideways over there. So Emily, we might have a new team member.
Fantastic.
You might have to deal with she's a Whitehall, another Smith. So good luck with that.
Bring it on.
Good luck with that.
Guys, this is Real Talk with Keith Smith on a Friday. We thank Yes Realty Partners for being a part of the show, Stanley Martin, Pearl Certification, the Free Enterprise Forum, Allied Property Management, Segura Solar, Charlottesville Settlement Company, Keller Williams Alliance, Interstate Service Company, the Fitcham and Associates, Closure Title and Settlement Company, Ross Mortgage. These are the names that you can count on the supply chain we call real estate. Trust the local businesses in this uncertain market. Those are the
Brandon
ones that'll
is
help
on
you
the
get
team.
to the finish line. And BC Harrop Photography, soon to be Harrop Photography.
There you go. Well,
Soon to be Harrop Photography. Thank you kindly for joining us on a Friday. The I Love Seville show is up at 12:30, where we're going to have a heck of a lot of fun with topics that matter the most to you. Take care, everyone. So long. Bravo. That was awesome.
thanks, guys.
He's going to tell us when the mics are off.